It's the Life FM afternoon show with Rach and Beatty. And I've got to say, I am exceptionally excited for our next guest because, just to be honest, I'm a bit of a fan. I follow her on TikTok. I've been watching for a while. So the fact that we are getting to talk to her is a big deal to me. But with over 4 million followers on TikTok and a bio that reads, "You are so loved, I do be loving Jesus." Welcome to the show, Liv Pearsall. How are you doing?
Hi, what a kind intro that was.
It is so good to have you. I genuinely mean it. I've been following you for a little while because your content just cracks me up.
Thank you.
Let's
That means
begin
a
with
lot.
this. We're over here in little old New Zealand.
Yeah.
Rach, what do you reckon? How much knowledge does Liv actually have about New Zealand? What do you know of us?
Oh my gosh, nothing. I think I'm about to be just, humiliated probably with how little I know about New Zealand. But
Have you ever been here before?
I'll try my best. No, never.
Okay, so Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay, you know
Shot
that.
there, right?
Yes, yep. Big part of our identity is the fact that it was made here by a New Zealand director. If you like Lord of the Rings, you're going to win a lot of Kiwi fans.
Okay, I am a fan of The Lord of the Rings. I've read the first book and I've obviously seen all the movies. So I think I can call myself a moderate fan.
Very good. Okay, anything else at all remotely that you know about New Zealand?
Oh, man.
You're really putting her on the spot here.
I know, you really said we're going to throw you into the fire. I think I could I don't think I could pick out the flag. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I could.
Do you know?
Can you give me like a topic or something?
Rugby. We're really big about rugby. Do you know anything about that?
I know there's something called the scrum. Is that true?
That's about all I know as well. So we're kind of twinning on that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about something.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I think everything I know about rugby, I only know from that one episode of Friends where Ross has to like play rugby with people and it's like really embarrassing. That's the extent of my knowledge so far.
No worries. Let's talk about something you do know and out of the fire into the oven. I promise I'm not trying to be leading with this question, but have you recovered from this moment yet?
Do y'all realize how disrespectful it is that there is a raspy-voiced blonde girl in that movie, and I know for a fact that you're talking about Rough Nut?
Yeah, no, definitely haven't recovered. Every time I think my self-esteem or ego is like going back up, somebody decides to knock it back down and humble me by making another absolutely mad disrespectful comparison to some horrible character. I've had people be like, "Oh my gosh, you remind me so much of Chicken Joe from Surf's Up." Do you know who that is?
Yes.
I'm like,
he's very chill.
Like, first off, screw you for saying that. But I'm also going to be honest, I'm kind of into it. I think it's funny. So no, I haven't recovered
Hopefully
yet.
it's more so the personality than it is any visual connection.
Physical resemblance. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's a pretty chill dude. I'm choosing to take it as a compliment. But the rough nut stuff is, pun intended, rough. Right?
And is that just part of being like quote unquote influencer or content creator? Like you must have to have some way of, I guess, not taking things to heart or dealing with like the hate comments because people are really loose online.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could genuinely talk about this for a very long time. I've been a creator for 4 years and I've been full-time for 2 years now. And I have the just blessing of having a very kind audience. My audience is very sweet to me. I've never gone through like a real like scandal or like cancel train or something like that. So comparatively, I have a very kind audience. That being said, I have received, pushback in, any area that you think you could critique someone on. I have gotten critiqued on. It's like, it comes by nature of the job, as people are going to feel like they can critique you and you just have to learn to not let it get to you.
Do
Yeah,
you find that there's a difference between like TikTok comments and Instagram comments? Like, are those quite different? Because often I think TikTok is a lot more harsh than Instagram.
Oh my. Oh, that's completely opposite for me, in my
Really?
opinion.
Ooh, okay.
I think Instagram is the worst. I love
Wow.
Instagram as an app, as a platform, and Meta. Meta's very good to me. But the comment sections on Instagram, in my opinion, maybe it's my algorithm or something, but are consistently just the ruder ones. And then in the middle, I would say, is TikTok. Again, like I said, my comment sections are pretty nice, but if I just go and search around the app, you'll find some nice ones, you'll find some mean ones. I think there's a pretty good community on TikTok, and in my opinion, the nicest is my YouTube comments.
Interesting.
I would be hard pressed to find like a really, really mean thread under one of my videos on YouTube. And I have a following. It's not like, oh, it's because I have no followers. Like, I have a following on YouTube. And like, I don't know why. They're just so nice to me. They just are so encouraging. It's really sweet.
That is so cool. Well, what I like about that, I think, is there's you've identified that, and I don't know if this is accurate. Let me put this to you. As a Christian content creator, is that the title maybe to give? Are you okay with that title?
That's kind of a controversial, I'd say, like, take on it.
Yeah.
Am I technically a content creator who is a Christian? Yeah. But when you say the title Christian content creator, people automatically assume like, oh, so all of your content is like centered around God or the church or Jesus or like, God or Jesus. Sorry. Like, or centered around like growing up in the faith or Bible stories and stuff like that. And I make, like, I don't know what percentage it would be. Like, I make stuff about my faith, but it's totally not the vast majority of what I create. So I am a Christian and I am a content creator, but I don't know if I'd fall under that title of Christian content creator.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting because that actually kind of really connects with my next question is being a Christian and being a content creator, is it something that serves you? Is it something that is just, as you say, it's like, it's just part of who I am. It's not really maybe leading in this area. And when you come up against, as Rachel's already asked, those kind of comments and perceptions that you should be maybe more Christian and what the heck does that mean kind of thing. I mean, how do you deal with that day to day as this has become your livelihood, right? Like this is what you do for a job.
Yeah. It is my job. Yeah. And it's been my job for, multiple years now. So it is sustainable for me. Man, I could take the answer to this question a lot of different ways. Or do you have like a log line question for that? Like, what's like the core that you want me to hit? Is like, how do I deal with hate from Christians? Or like, how do I balance how much Christian content I make, or like, I don't know, because there's like a lot of different things I could talk about.
No, that's all good. Is there anything particularly, like, what is prompted for you from that question? Like, is there a knee-jerk reaction, or is there something that, because there will be people listening right now who know you online, and there'll be those who are just encountering you for the first time. And so maybe speaking to those people who have never connected with your content, what would you want them to know about being a Christian on TikTok rather than, as you said, calling it a Christian TikTok creator?
Yeah. I guess what came up for me when you were describing it was sort of, I get asked, by friends or acquaintances, how do you balance your faith and your job? And consistently, it's a good question. It's a fair question. But consistently, I would say my answer is it's not a balance. It's not that I have my content over here and my job over here and I have my faith over here. It's actually a little more like my faith is down here as a foundation, and then everything else that I do in my life is built on top of that, And so to me, when I'm creating content, even if it's not explicitly, like I'm preaching the gospel, like everything I do is founded in some aspect of how the Lord has impacted me, and for me, like my big passion is comedy. I love making people laugh. And I totally think that that's like a calling on my life, is to bring people joy. I think that's a God-given calling. And I don't think that if I were to make something that's not expressly about God, that means I'm still not leaning into that calling, you know? And so, yes, I do get a lot of pushback from people that is like from Christians being like, you're wasting your platform if you're not like explicitly preaching the gospel in every single video you make. And with that, I would just say, like, first off, you don't know me. Let's remember that for a second, because I love putting myself online. But at the end of the day, like, you might feel like you know me, but at the end of the day, we've never met, you know? And I am very honest about who I am online, but there is, you know, a lot more to me behind the scenes. You have no idea how I share my faith in real life, you know, with people, with other creators, with, you know, things like that. But then the other thing I would say is, like, Jesus was a carpenter. He made chairs, probably. He like made tables. Did he like carve the gospel into every table he made? I'm really like stretching a big metaphor that I'd like just, or not metaphor.
No, we get you. We get you.
Idea that I'm making, and maybe this is like not theologically sound, but like sometimes you can just do good work. And I think that is another God-given virtue, is the ability to work and to work hard. And I love making people laugh, and that's a gift from God. And so that's what I do. How's that answer?
That is a beautiful answer.
Yeah, I quite relate to that on a different scale. Like, I'm not a content creator. Well, I guess in some ways I am on the radio, but I think not as much probably, but we've sometimes had pushback of people saying like, oh, you need to be talking about God all the time. And there is a lot of stuff on even Life FM that's not necessarily like preaching the gospel every single break, but just having a laugh. And I think that that's like something people love about Life FM as well, is that you are not always so serious. And I also think that that's like biblical. God loves us to have fun sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that, like, we're all real human beings. Sometimes I feel like Christians forget that. And it's like, are you really going to tell me that, like, going through your day, you never have a conversation that like isn't about God? You know, when God is like part of the fabric of your human being, essence of yourself. I'm stumbling over my words, but I think you get what I'm saying. When it's like a part of you, it just like seeps out into every area of your life, and you don't have to live under this pressure of like, I need to find a way to bring up Jesus. He just comes up, you know, he's just part of what I love and what I do, you know? So anyway, clearly I'm very passionate about
No, I am loving that.
heated.
I'm loving that answer. I love it as well, because I think probably, Liv, for many people listening right now, there might be a little bit of pressure coming off their shoulders as they realize just being yourself. And it's actually, I found in those moments when you've made friends because of maybe it's your humor or you've connected in, and you're not leading maybe too forward with God, which is, you know, he's still central to who we are. But then, you know, they get to know you, and then they find out, oh, you have a faith. That's a way of sharing the gospel that is actually more soft, gentle, and I think usually more effective. Yes, thank you, Rach.
Yeah. And the way that Jesus like shared the good news of what he was coming to do was like, 80-90% of the time it was like relational.
Yeah.
You know, or he was feeding someone. I heard a sermon one time that said like, everywhere Jesus went, he was either going to a meal, coming from a meal, or eating a meal. And I'm like, that. So the Bible tells me to eat, and I'm going to follow that.
My goodness. Okay, now this seems rather strange to pivot from such weighty but really good conversation into this next question. But we've started a new segment on our show called TikTok Taskmaster. So each week,
oh my God,
we've been given a prompt, and we have to come up with our own TikTok. Now, the Life FM account is building followers. You are like our inspiration. Where do your ideas come from? If you were to maybe give us some advice, where are you looking? How are you creating? Is it just the God-given talent that is there and your brain just goes, bang, this is an idea? Or is there some places inspiration comes from? How do you create TikToks?
Well, thank you for one. You guys are so kind to me. I would say the easiest answer is just to talk about my workflow, kind of. This is another common question I get is people are like, how often are you filming? Like, how do you, like, we don't understand conceptually how this is a job.
Yes,
you know?
right.
And what I've sort of like done for myself that has worked out for me for, 2 years or 3 years, whatever, is throughout the week as I'm living my life, I will have a running note on my phone that is called video ideas. And there are maybe 500 notes in there that are just titled video idea. And it's like 1 or 2 lines of an idea that I had in my week. And so throughout a week, I'll just collect and collect and collect. And also, I do think that is something that the Lord has blessed me with, that like, I think of a lot of ideas. I kind of have yet to like come up empty on something just like in a week, sometimes you're not there emotionally or mentally, but generally I come up with something. And then I only choose 1 day a week, generally 1 or 2, that I'm filming, and I film all of them. And so I film like, 3 to 7 videos, depending on how involved the work is or how, much time I have. And I'll change my shirt in between videos. So people are like, you all did this on the same day, and then I only have to like kind of look decent for 1 day a week, And the other important thing to me is that keeps me present in my life. I don't want to be one of those creators that's like, everywhere Liv goes, she has her phone out. She's always filming. Like, we have to be ready to be on camera if we're around her. It's like, I want people to feel safe to just like hang out with me. And the most I'm ever doing when I'm in public generally is whipping out my phone to write down an idea. And I know I'm going to deal with it later, And then when I've filmed everything, it's like I have my content for the week. I can just exist and live my life. And cyclically, it's helpful because if I'm living my life presently, I come up with more ideas, And so that's sort of what has become good for me. I don't know if that answers your questions about like, how do I get inspiration? It just sort of comes, but that's kind of how I run it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I guess Josh is asking this question because he's looking for inspiration for the next TikTok. But also, I haven't put mine up yet, so we have a week to do it. Yours went up, Josh, on Monday.
Yeah.
And mine has not gone up yet. I am lacking inspiration, or not necessarily lacking inspiration, but there's too many trends going on TikTok. I don't know which one to do. The prompt we had for this week was involve one of your colleagues from work. Do you, Liv, have any ideas to help me out here on what I can do this week that involves a colleague that's maybe trending, that's going to get more views than Josh's?
Putting her on the spot. Liv, over to you.
Okay, I know. I'm like, you're testing if I'm actually a good creator. Well, I can only really fall back on what I'm good at. So I don't know if it'll come naturally for you or not. But involving a colleague, I would love to do like a sort of a POV type silly character piece of content. And I would have your other colleague film and like speak behind the camera. And I would maybe if there's like an archetype of someone in your office, if there's like, I don't know if you guys work, if there's like, or you could do like different types of people in the office.
We definitely have an office space. We definitely have those archetypes. It will be over to Rachel to see if she's willing to call one of those
if there's
out.
like the person who's always like grabbing for a piece of gossip, then you can have your colleague always, or you can go back and forth, like come up to you and be like, did you hear what Jessica said, and just like do it in different locations. And then you like open the pantry to get a snack and they're like in there and they come out.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I'm going to see if I can find a pantry that's big enough to fit someone inside.
Yeah,
Not fair. I've already created my TikTok.
Look, you
and
can
you're
save
getting
these ideas for next week.
You're getting help from a professional in the moment.
This is why I
Professional. Oh, how kind. That is my first pass. And genuinely probably the best thing I could come up with. So even if you gave me a couple hours, I don't think I'd come up with anything better. But I hope that helps you out.
Yeah, I'm stealing that for sure.
Well,
yeah, man.
I guess my last question then to wrap things up is, would you potentially be willing, because this is a reoccurring segment of ours, TikTok Taskmaster, maybe in the future to judge who is the better TikTok creator? Could we call upon you potentially to be a judge for this segment? Because at the moment it's down to the listeners and the viewers, and some of them are on TikTok, some of them aren't. And I feel like just Rachel's got a better following than me, so I'm looking for any up I can get. Would you be willing to step into that role?
Oh, well, yeah, only if you're willing to take a really harsh judge. I'm gonna be the Simon Cowell of this, just
Oh
being
my
like
goodness.
horrible, horrible, awful, you know? So get ready, but I'm down.
I'm too sensitive for that. I think I need to like harden up if I'm going to be a content creator.
Yeah, we'll get you a few in the bank, and then once we feel like maybe we've got our foundation, we'll go back to Liv and we'll say, all right.
Go back to me.
That's right.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you
But I'm very down.
Thank you so much for joining us, Liv. It has been an absolute pleasure. And if people want to check you out, by the way, on TikTok, Instagram, where should they go? YouTube, of course. How do they follow you?
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, this has been just a joy and a pleasure. So thanks for having me. My accounts are all pretty much the same. It's just liv.pearsall. Liv is L-I-V. And then Pearsall is spelled pears like the fruit, all like the word.